talk to me about this. Like, do we necessarily see the significance of all these meetings that happen in Kigali?
Yeah, we do. I was having coffee at one of the hotels yesterday, Hotel Portofino, somewhere in uptown Kigali. And they have a very good problem.
A very good problem?
Yes, they were short of rooms.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, these are people, guests who are coming into the country, not within the country, you know. But even within the country, people are looking for rooms. So, you know, when this whole MICE strategy was actually being drawn up as a concept, this was the objective, you know, one of the goals that let them create demand for the increasing number of rooms, you know, in the hospitality sector. And we're seeing that happen, you know. Rooms are doing well, at least on average. Rooms are getting well booked, which is a good thing. And I saw it yesterday at Hotel Portofino, just right here in Nyarutarama. So that is a good sign. But obviously, the challenge is, you know, trickling down, money getting out of the hotels and then getting into pockets of ordinary citizens like myself, you know, to be able to actually feel the money, to actually see that pressure on the Rwanda franc is actually reducing because of foreign exchange as a result of these meetings and, you know, money that comes in, you know. So that will be gradual. It will take a bit of time, but I can assure you that we are trotting in the right direction, and I'm seeing evidence of that.
Interesting. Of course, Ken, you're looking at one side of this conversation where we're looking at the Rwandan economy having a good time from these meetings happening here. But let's now jump a bit from that and skip to some of the commitments that have been made in the capital here. We know that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was signed here back in March to boost intra-Africa trade to 52%. Now, we're still looking at the ratification process. Only seven signatories have been brought to the table, including Rwanda and Kenya and some other countries. But we need 22 countries to actually ratify this. This has not happened. So are we going to see more talk but less action?
I mean, that's a good question, and it's always the problem whenever you see politicians gathered together to agree on something. That's always the problem. And Churchill put it well, you know, the wartime prime minister of Britain. He once said that, you know, to be a good politician, you should be able to accurately predict what will happen tomorrow, next week, and next year, but also be able to explain why it didn't happen. So normally, when these meetings happen, a lot of things are said to be happening the next year, the next few years, but we also always hear politicians or their representatives explaining why they're not happening. So it's not a good thing per se, and as Rwanda becomes known more for these big international conferences, you also need to think about what I normally call national branding, country branding. We don't want to be a capital city that hosts meeting for big talk and you know, less action. Or, you know, we need to start also walking the talk that happens in Kigali.
You see, Ken,
and you know, let me finish, because normally when we sell Kigali as a destination for a conference, it's because Kigali or Rwanda already has this reputation for making things happen, not just talking. You know, we are known to actually get things off the paper and actually implement, which is why we are where we are 22, 24 years after the genocide, you know, against the Tutsi. So the question is, when all these meetings come here, they feel like maybe they can benefit from the Rwanda inspiration, the Kagame effect, you know. So we need to work hard, you know, much as we are reaping the short-term benefits of all these conferences coming, hotels filling up, we also need to be wary of the country branding of what happens 4, 3, 6 years later when
Ken,
the big talk
allow me to
has
jump in
happened.
because this feels rather more interesting. Do you have a family?
Yeah, everybody has.
How many are you at home?
20.
Okay, 20. Oof.
Yeah,
okay.
It's an African family.
Okay, cool. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because, like, when you're at the family table in a family meeting, there is so much said, but at the end of the day, you find so little done, you know? Like, the meetings are always about young people, the meetings that we see happen all over Africa, like the youth, about 200 million of them, unemployment is going through the roof, and you're talking about 10 million jobs to be created. This is the Youth Connect that just happened last week. But the youth don't even have so much of a say in these meetings. You get? We're looking at people 60 years old, 50 years old, talking about the youth. When are the youth going to talk for themselves and even see if they can create these sort of opportunities easier because they understand the current situation?
No, I mean, it's not just a matter of putting the youth on the table to talk because they don't yet control the resources or the apparatus that will make things happen.
That shouldn't be the problem, though.
Yes, yes, but it has to be gradual. You know, just like you probably take over from your old man, but as long as he's still around, you're not going to snap him out so that you take over, yeah?
Yeah.
So we have to deal with our old men and women on the continent. But they also have to have it at the back of their mind that they should be phasing out and actually allowing the youth to come in. So basically what I'm talking about is a continuity or sustainability plan for Africa, you know, across socially, politically, economically, everywhere. And fortunately, we're seeing it happening in Rwanda. We're seeing a lot of young CEOs. That's a good sign. I was at the Youth Connect Summit. I saw a lot of young people.
Some people say that Rwanda has young CEOs because those are the ones that are educated. Do you concur with that? Not
really, because even when you go to, you know, everywhere in every sector, even when you're not educated, I mean, being a CEO or a leader is not about education. It's about empowerment and actually getting the confidence that you have been empowered with authority to actually do something, which is what we need to do more for young people of Africa. And I saw this. You know, young people are impatient. They're impatient for results. I could see them in the line. Some didn't want to line up because the line was very long. They wanted to just cut through the chase and, you know, get the badges, go through, do the business. But you could see the bureaucracy is something that is costing Africa, not only time, but money. And young people are impatient. We need to deal with the bureaucracy. It also answers your question of how long will it take us to translate from talk to action, you know? And that takes on, it takes us to, you know, the necessity to actually reduce on the bureaucracy. Normally, on average, when a summit happens and a decision is taken, 3 years later, if nothing has happened, that's good enough. Because normally the average is 10 years to get things done. But if you're talking about a generation, our generation, we need to talk about 1, 2, 3 years of actually turning around and seeing results. Can this happen? I think we need to look at the ecosystem and how we can improve on the efficiency of everything. Efficiency of, you know, decision making, efficiency in, you know, taking decisions and deciding this will happen today or the other day. Timelines. So what you probably need to see more in these meetings is that actually people signing on timelines, not on decisions.
Yeah, because you're talking about signing on decisions, and brings me back to Transform Africa Summit that happened about in May, if I'm not mistaken. We saw Smart Africa, the Secretariat, signing about 9 MOUs. And, well, the contribution, really, we haven't seen so much on that back. So.
Yeah, which takes us back to what I've said. Signing MOUs attach serious timelines.
All right.
You know, say we've signed this today, we want it done by next week. Otherwise, if we sign up, we rack our papers, we give the bureaucrats work to do, but in actual sense, the beneficiaries see nothing. And that's actually the disconnect that is causing all the trouble across the continent. We are seeing new movements led by young people in politics coming up. It's all because people in power have talked, but it's taking long to actually see results. So for us to actually address all these issues, we need to see that whatever we say we are going to do, we attach serious timelines.
I think